Hi, this is Paul Edwards with coachingyoutoreach.com. We're going to be going over a new section area here that is under strategies. It's strategy part 3, but 3 new verses that we're going to integrate the verse to general mentoringship for you to take a look at and think about regarding your life or your business coaching, or uh, as a coaching technique that I use for your strategy technique. So just wanted to clarify that. The first one is Proverbs 22 chapter 22, verse 2. The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the creator of them both. So when you think about that, the Lord being the creator of both the rich and the poor, and you start to look at how that plays out in my life, or how does that play out in my being a business. You have to understand that what basically is happening here is that God's going to create a direction or a path for you that you're going to follow, and it may involve either one of them, a rich or a poor person. And you have to understand from a perspective of your role in their life, or their role in your life, is that, if you're praying to God for direction and guidance, and you're finding answers through the use of the Bible to get you on the right road, then you have to understand that God's going to put you in a path where you're going to meet the rich and the poor. And you've got to understand that God has put them there in your life for a purpose. And so you may or may not understand up front what that purpose is, but have the faith in your Father that it will become clear to you as to what their purpose is. It's just that He has put them there, and you went to Him for this guidance, this direction. You prayed about it. You've read, biblically speaking. So you're going to work with what God has presented to you from the perspective of strategy. So let me go into that a little more detail regarding that. So you're, from a life perspective, let's say that a family member or a friend, or maybe somebody that you don't know real well, but they're in your path. They represent, I'm gonna just throw it out there, a poor person, okay? And there's so multiple of thoughts that might come over your head. I'm gonna create a couple. Maybe these would be something that I would think about. I don't know. I'm not going to put it on you. It could be me too. I could be that person who thinks this way. But I'm sitting there going, okay, from the perspective of my life, what is this poor person doing in my life? What's up with that? Could it be that God has put that person in your life to first work with that individual from the perspective of life? And if you go into the Bible and you start to look at, okay, what does God want me to do regarding this person? Well, what if God's Bible verse says you need to take your jacket off your back and give it to that person? Are you going to go look for another verse that means something different? That's the path you're on. Are you supposed to be a good Samaritan, and here you are looking down at this guy and saying, hey, there's another good Samaritan coming behind me. We're on the same road. I'm not stopping, but he will. Is that really what we're trying to do here? Okay, let's talk about this person being rich and they're in your life. Wow. This guy probably gave me a loan and there won't be any interest in it at all. You want to be a charity to the rich guy? Rich brother-in-law, brother, sister, mother, father? You want to be a charity for them? Unlimited cash flow because they're rich and God put them in your path? Or could it be that your involvement is a biblical involvement, has nothing to do with money and loans and interest free or anything like that? It could be that you have a purpose for that God has you on that you are going to address, and that's why that person is here in your life. God put them there. Is what this verse is saying. God put that person there for you. Does that mean I'm a spoiled brat and I need it to be for me? Or does it mean that God, if you think there's something that I need to do for that rich person or poor person that applies to my path, to what I need in my life, but you want me to do something here, stop. Be the good Samaritan that stops. I think that's what that means. What do you think? Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everyone, there is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under the heaven. Appointed time. From a strategy perspective, and you own a business, and let's say you're looking at the fundamentals of a business. You're looking at balancing the budget, or you're looking at paying off a debt, or you're looking at closing on a big account that's going to put a lot of money, a lot of figuring into your life. You think about it a lot of times. You sit there and go, man, if I had $1 million account, I could definitely figure out the cost of goods sold, and I can definitely figure out what I'm selling that service for, the income, and I could definitely figure out what is to be done with the gross profit. I can figure that out. All of us can. Okay? But remember the tales of the talent, where they had 3 talents, 3 people that were giving 3 sets of income, and there was only 1 or 2 that pleased God, and the third one was not pleasing at all to God. So it's very complicated when you talk about the strategy of what you do between gross profit and income. What do you do with that section of money? Or once you got your cost of goods sold and what you have left is your net income, and what do you do with that money? You have the net income. Wow, that's mine. I've already paid my taxes. I've already paid everybody off. This is mine. It's all mine. I'm in total control of it. I happen to believe that unless you're on the right track, first of all, you have to be on the right track. Second of all, it's the track that God has a distant plan for you that you may not have a clue on, that you have to handle that money in that way, that there may be a distant plan by God that you're not aware of, and that is the reason why you're handling the money a certain way. Okay? And so that does take time. It takes consideration. And what this is basically saying is whatever that time is, okay, whether it's the appointed time or there is a time for every event, wherever time you are, it's the appointed time or it's the time for the event. Because these are talking about 2 different times here. The appointed time and the time of the event. These are 2 different times here. Appointed time means God's anointed appointed time. God put that there as an anointing. Whereas the point that was an event, that event could very well be a time of preparation for the time of the appointed time. So you have an event time that just God says, bam. Remember, I'm going to roll you back over here to the rich and the poor people that I was talking about in Proverbs 22:2. So this event time, you met the rich and the poor, either one. Okay, and at that event time, you start to work on that relationship that God has intended. And you work and you work and you work and you work. And then we get over here to the appointed time. And that appointed time is the arrival moment. So you had this event time that led you to the appointed time. And then at the appointed time, bam, this is where the outcome is perceived. This is where God's intended endpoint is at. Now, it could be that. I'm just saying, from praying over this subject matter, that God is going to guide me over this subject matter. I'm just giving you a perspective as a mentoring here that there very much could be two different times. But what if I was wrong, and really the event time and the appointed time is the same time? I'm going to read that. For everyone, there is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under heaven. Every event under heaven. So it's basically saying, could this very much saying there is a time for every event under heaven? Meaning that the event time and the appointed time are divinely placed. They could be together, they could be separated. But either one, whether separated or together, it's God's time. They're both under heaven. So those dark times in your life, in your business, and you're going through this challenge. Maybe you're going through a challenge with a rich person, or you're going through a challenge with a poor person. Whatever it is, whether that revenue that I could get from the rich person is going to really help me out, but it's not right. It's not where God wants the resolution to be. The resolution may be that, hey, you could have a very negative cash flow until you get to the appointed time. There's nothing wrong with that. You're surviving. You're making it little by little. If you stay the course, if you stay on the map, if you stay in the correct direction, it's going to be like those footprints in the sand. You're going to see those two footprints, and you're going to think, that's you. And it ain't. It's God carrying you. Look for God carrying you. You're not going to get fat. Okay, if God ran around carrying you everywhere you went, right away, oh no, I don't know if I want to do that, because then I'm going to gain weight because I'm not getting any exercise. God's carrying me. Don't think that way. Okay? You're not going to gain weight because God's carrying you. Okay? God don't need you to carry him, but God certainly doesn't befall you something bad because he's carrying you. It's not what it's all about. It's about the love. It's about the love of being carried. When you see those two prints walking in the sand and God's carrying you, it's about love. That's what it is. You're not going to gain weight because God's carrying you because he loves you. Think about it. How many times have you gained weight by kissing your grandchildren? Your son, your daughter. How many times have you gained weight from that? And I have a 23-year-old son. I've got a 21-year-old daughter. If I carried them in each hand, because now I have twins, and I carry both my twins are just over a year, and I carry them, and I can handle it. No problem. I'm definitely, Superman. But if I put two adult children on my arms and I start to carry them, I can't do it. I'm not that strong. But God can. Now, I promise you, I'm not God. And if I carried those two kids, they may very well gain weight. But not in God's perfect weight carrying. When God carries an individual, That God doesn't gain weight because he's strong. He's fully fit. But you don't gain weight because the Holy Spirit is surrounding you while God's carrying you. It's complete love. And there's no need to get fat. It's not necessary. This is a spiritual endeavor that's filled with miracles. You're not going to gain weight. This is science that we can't explain. And I'm not going to try to, other than to say that God doesn't want you gaining weight. Matter of fact, you're probably going to be the most healthiest you've ever been while God is carrying you, okay? It's just that aura. That aura is going to be out there and they're changing blood vessels to be working better. He's going to be changing your heart pounding a lot better. He's going to get you physically fit during that time. So because you got to think of it, why would God in his aura pull you into his aura and he would be hurting you in that aura? Why would he do that? When he loves you so much, he's going to be healing you. And that's what you're in it for. When you create a strategy and you're going down the direction God intends you, he's healing you in the right direction. Okay, so think of it in that term. Proverbs 22:29, do you see a person skilled in his work? He will take his position before kings. He will not take his position before obscure people. Can be honest with you, I had shot a previous video. I deleted it. Same hat, same t-shirt. And I had written that verse down wrong. And when I recorded, I was like, what? I did something wrong here. What the heck? So when I went back in, I realized that I had wrote it down wrong. And so the meaning that I had put on there was wrong. And I didn't want to put that out there. But do you see a person skilled in his work? He will take his position before kings. He will not take his position before obscure people. That one I had to think about because I can remember multiple times that I was before kings and I also was before obscure people. And I was thinking to myself, does that mean I'm not skilled? Could I really be skilled and be before kings and before obscure people? Because it's saying that will not take his position before obscure people. So I got to thinking, take his position before kings, and that's plural. There's only one king that I'm interested in taking my position in front of. So if I just want to be before God, am I going to be before kings or am I going to be before obscured people? I think that what that meaning is basically saying is that that person that you're before, if they were sent by God, they were a person you were needed to be in front of. Forget the kings thing. Okay, I mean, I know it says kings, but I think it has something more to do with that period of time because kings were thought of to be woo, like the CEOs or the presidents, you know. And I really think what they're saying here is that they're saying, look, if God's put you on the path, you're going to be before the right persons. But even if you feel like you're before an obscured person, you could very well be wrong. It could be a king that God intended you to see. So don't see yourself as having to be the judge whether you're in front of kings or obscured people. Don't see yourself as being that, having to know. Have the blind faith that no matter who that person is you're in front of, where God sees it, they're a king. And if you see it as obscured, you're wrong. You're before king. Because God put you there. Well, that message, I hope it made some impact on both the strategic life coach or strategic business coach. This ends my series on the strategic. And I hope to go on into some new areas that I want you to think about. And really appreciate your interest in looking into this. And I hope that I'm able to at least give you a finite piece of information regarding the big picture of information you need. I may not always give you the counting portion of a strategic position, but that's not my role. I'm not an accountant. I don't really want to give you accounting advice. What I want to do is I want you to get on a path where you're utilizing biblical principles to decide whether your accountant's advice, who you should be getting accounting advice from, is the biblical advice you need. That's my whole purpose in mentorship. So I hope that helps. This is Paul Edwards, coaching you to reach.com, and I encourage you to send me an email, send me a question. I'll address it on a video or just by email. Maybe by both, I don't know. But thank you very much. Have a great day.